The hard problem of consciousness is not a problem for Islam. Assalamu alaikum, brothers, sisters, friends, and everybody else watching. Welcome to Thought Revolution. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the 32nd chapter of the Qur'an, verse 7 through to 9. Before we do this, I want to touch upon the topic of this video, which is consciousness. Now, Brother Hamza Dotzes has done immense research on this over the past couple of years. He's published papers on this on his website, on the IRA website, which you can go check out. There's a whole chapter in his upcoming book, The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism, so make sure you guys check that out as well. And the argument he essentially makes is that there is something as human beings we have, which is this experience, this first-person subjective experience that is personal to us, that we experience. It's this conscious awareness that we have as human beings, which can't be quantified physically. Now, a scientist may be able to hook you up to a monitor, put you in a lab and observe changes, physical changes that may take place in your brain chemistry if he gives you a piece of fruit to eat or a piece of chocolate to eat. But what he can't tell you, what they can't correlate, is that experience you have, that subjective, first-person, personal experience that you have. That's something unique to you that can't be quantified, right? And the argument is basically on naturalism. If everything is physical, your brain is physical, and everything that comes from your brain is physical, and everything that results from that is physical, then how do you account for this non-physical first-person experience? It doesn't make sense, right? But on Islam, it's very easy. God created us, and He gave us consciousness. Very simple. But recently, I spoke to Sheikh Fahad Taslim, and he shared this absolute gem with me because he uses this argument, but he has found this beautiful link with this argument to the Qur'an. And I want to share that with you today. Because when he shared this with me, I literally almost fell off my chair. It's so powerful. See, God says in the 32nd chapter, verse 7, He says, who perfected everything which He created and began the creation of man from clay. In the 8th verse, then God says, then He made His posterity, His progeny, out of the extract of a liquid disdained. And then God says in the following verse, then He proportioned him and breathed into him from His created soul and made for you hearing and vision and hearts. Little are you grateful. Now you guys probably picked up on that, right? Although it's in the English, that there's a shift, there's a grammatical shift. It's called iltifat. The shift is so powerful because God is talking to us in third person through verse 7, 8, and the beginning of verse 9. God says He created, the creation of man from clay, and then He created His progeny from this despised, this disdained fluid, and then He proportioned this creation, He proportioned him. Then God says He breathed into him a soul that He created, and He gave him hearing, sight, and feelings, and all of these things. And then God says, little are you grateful. So there's a shift from the third person to the second person, and it's so powerful when you think about this because, subhanallah, until the point, even in the Quran, till the point where God says He breathed into this creation, the soul that He created, God speaks to us in third person. But once the soul is placed within this being, and this being is conscious and aware and able to understand and to reflect and to think, then God shifts the focus to this being, which is us. Then God says, little are you grateful. SubhanAllah, then God is directly referring to us. He's speaking to us because now we're able to understand. SubhanAllah, that is so powerful. And this is the power of the Quran. It's so precise, right? Even through the text and this journey that God takes us from the creation of man, He refers to us in second person. He refers to us directly when we're able to be referred to, right? And this is the power of the Quran, brothers and sisters. So I guess the take-home message is Islam makes sense of everything. Islam makes sense of the problems other areas of life have, such as the hard problem of consciousness, an example we've used today. Islam can explain all these things, but the purpose of the Quran is, the purpose of the revelation is that we, as the conscious beings God has made us, these aware beings, these beings that have the ability to understand and to reflect and to think, should really understand that God created us to worship Him, to turn to Him, to connect with Him, to be close to Him, right? And to submit ourselves to Him and worship Him truly. I thank you guys for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.